From Live, Work, Play.
Hello. It's great to be here today, and thank you to the Community Foundation of Ottawa, all their partners, volunteers, and donors who've come together to make the New Leaf Community Challenge possible. And thanks to all of you for being here. Pie in the Sky, how unemployable youth are meeting the needs of Ottawa's employers, builds on LiveWorkPlay's successful Employment Task Force pilot project, bringing youth with intellectual disabilities and Ottawa employers together for mutual benefit. The Employment Task Force, or ETF concept, utilizes volunteer employment champions to help LiveWorkPlay build relationships with new employment partners to generate new hires. With full appreciation for the daunting unemployment rate of 75% facing this population, LiveWorkPlay will utilize our proven expertise and capacity building to create an expanded ETF network and generate 100 jobs for youth with intellectual disabilities in just 1 year. The best part is, the business community will sustain it for the future. The original pie in the sky concept that shaped and continues to drive the LiveWorkPlay journey is the belief that the community can and will evolve to a time when the valuing of people with intellectual disabilities is not driven by social services, government, advocacy groups, or rights legislation, but rather it's part of the fabric of our society. This project is about taking a clear step in that right direction, as represented through workplaces in our community.
What brought us together on this journey, and why we are just as excited now as we were back in 1995, is the energizing experience. Asking hard questions, searching for solutions, and understanding that there is no end to the process of getting better results. It's a process that involves non-stop connections with hundreds of people and organizations on a daily basis, and together taking calculated risks, learning from our failures, listening, growing, recalibrating, and doing better. What does this mean on a human level? We want to introduce you to Phil Londerville and his family, explaining what exactly happens when pie in the sky gets lived out in a life-changing reality.
Even fathom the idea of him leaving home, or ever living on his own, for that matter. As I indicated to LiveWorkPlay at that time, is I'm entrusting my child in you. Like, I'm trusting your organization. I mean, he is an adult and everything, but I'm also a mom, and he'll always be my baby, and I want to make sure that he's having the best possible help that he can get. They've really educated me as a parent as well on understanding adults who have challenges, and I've also opened up my view on my son's capabilities.
Phil's a living example of somebody that is living independently, who's enjoying the community.
With the support of United Way, he's part of the community.
That's a great story and well told by United Way Ottawa, so shout out to them for helping us tell the story. But I want to add some important context. Phil and his family had been repeatedly told that he would never live on his own. They were also told that he would be never employed. From his neighbors at the Beaver Barracks on Catherine Street to his managers and co-workers at the East India Company restaurant, Phil now knows he is a valued and respected member of the community. There are no words to describe the dramatic difference in his quality of life. What we do know is that we can help make it happen for many others, at least 100 in this coming year, but hundreds and thousands more over the years to come.
One of the ways our society values the contributions of our citizens is through their participation in the labor force. The traditional thinking has been, and mostly continues to be, that youth with intellectual disabilities do not have the requisite skills to meet the needs of employers. If the assumption is that they're unfit, then the best response is to create programs where they can be kept busy, have a sense of accomplishment, and possibly change in ways that would make them less unfit. What this means as a society is for the past 40 years or so, We've been investing in addressing the problem of unemployment for youth with intellectual disabilities by deliberately keeping them out of the labor market. These assumptions are based on the untested premise that these young people would fail in the workplace. But the people who are supposed to make that decision, employers, have until now been left out of the conversation. Up until about 10 years ago, based on assumptions that came from well-meaning consultations with families, teachers, and other agencies, we offered pre-employment programs and developed our own enterprises. We had a thrift store, we manufactured commercial signage, we ran a lunch cafe, and we recycled computers. Many of these enterprises yield meaningful revenues and publicity for the LiveWorkPlay organization. The only critically important downside? Our programs were not helping promote inclusion. If anything, they were only serving to reinforce the assumption that people with intellectual disabilities belong in separate places from other citizens. We had a few successes with people who moved on to jobs, but that came in spite of what we were doing. Employers saw value in people we were supporting and hired them. At that aha moment, we decided, let's get out of the way of blocking these relationships, but better than that, let's be in the business of building these relationships. This meant we needed to start spending time with employers and their needs, and through this process, our organization was changed forever by meeting people like Andrew Beers from Dow Honda.
I work in the inventory area. It's quiet and the people are respectful and all that. And I check stuff in boxes, I write the stuff down, I check the missing parts and all that.
Royce has come onto our team here at Dow Honda, and he's always very pleasant to work with, always on time, very punctual, very polite, and he shows a great deal of dedication to the task, so he's been a great addition to our team.
We have an inventory of hundreds of thousands of dollars of parts, and we sell millions of dollars of parts a year. It's important to count those things. We have a computer system that does it for us, but of course there's human error. He's very detail-oriented, he likes patterns and routines. He's turned out to be the perfect guy for this. It's saved us tremendous amounts of money by having him here, to the point where it was so successful we've actually put people from LiveWorkPlay in our other two divisions as well as in the same position.
I think we all have to start thinking outside the box, because it's not really a matter of looking at people with disabilities, it's looking at individuals and realizing that individuals can bring a lot to the table.
He is contributing in a really real way to that workplace, and people appreciate him and appreciate what he does.
They're nice guys. Getting paid well and living on my own, it makes me very happy.
So just like in the previous video of Phil's story, it's a nice story, but the context here is very important. Just a couple of years before this video was made, Royce and his family were front page news. The story read that Royce needed to live in an institution. Royce has an autism spectrum disorder, but as you heard from his boss and coworkers at Dow Honda, his attention to detail and ability to focus on the task at hand are enormous assets and appreciated and cherished. We realized we needed to meet more employers like Andrew Beers. Where would we find them? So we engaged with networking groups such as Business Network International, local chambers of commerce, and service clubs such as Rotary. This helped us get access to many employers and get to know them, asking them questions, see what their needs were. Time and time again, we heard same two issues, turnover and attitude. Or phrased positively, they were looking for loyalty and enthusiasm. And we knew we had future employees that would meet these needs. So we started sharing this message. That's how we met business owner and future employment task force founding member, Vaughn McKinney of the Parliament Cleaning Group.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Robin, and this is my boss, Vaughn McKinney.
Hi, my name is Bob McKinney, and both Jeremy and I work together for the Parliament Cleaning Group here in Ottawa. How I got to meet Jeremy was through an Ottawa agency by the name of LiveWorkPlay. I came to talk to all of the clubs in Ottawa about offering people with disabilities an opportunity to work. I'm fortunate. He's been with us now for almost 3 months, Jeremy. We're making money together. Jeremy's working smart, not hard, I hope, most days. And it's been a great connection.
I really do enjoy working, especially with Vaughn, because he's nice, kind, polite, and I get paid good. I like to work to support myself, my mom, Mom's been sick for a while. She was in and out of the hospital. This job has helped me do better, help my mom. I feel part of the community, and I feel good about myself.
Bingo. This is a demanding job, and so far he's kept up with it. Chances are Jeremy and I might not have ever met. Give a person with a disability an opportunity to show you what they can do. They are reliable, they are punctual,
Dependable.
they are dependable.
His mother passed away shortly after this video was recorded. The first Thanksgiving after his mother's passing, we were scurrying around at LiveWorkPlay worrying that he'd be alone, until we found out from Mr. McKinney that this was not an issue, that Jeremy would enjoy Thanksgiving dinner with his work family. The power of relationships. Okay, you guys been sitting here all morning? Indulge me in a quick survey. I'll give you the options first. If you had to find a new job starting tomorrow, what would be your first priority? Option A, searching the want ads and fixing up your resume. Or option B, reaching out to your personal and professional networks for leads and references. So show of hands, how many for option A, looking at the want ads? No hands, okay. So I'm assuming, how many for option B, reaching out to your networks? Well, the people in this room and the research agree that networking is by far the most effective approach, but of course it doesn't work unless you have a network. It's typical that youth with intellectual disabilities have 90% fewer relationships than their non-disabled peers. Wow. In other words, they tend to have 10 people in their network for every 100 people in the non-disabled population. Part of the role of the Employment Task Force is to help level the playing field for marginalized youth by providing connections and support that reduces the isolation from the labor market. So with that in mind, the original task force pilot started in 2012 with Vaughn McKinney and Andrew Bears and a handful of supporters assembled by our Manager of Employment Partnerships, Jen Susie. LiveWorkPlay worked with teachers, families, and most importantly, young job seekers, learning about their career objectives, building employment profiles, and sharing this information with the task force. Task force members use professional and personal networks to leverage relationships and other employers or business networking opportunities to help position LiveWorkPlay as an extension of a human resources solution. When this resulted in a doubling of our employment outcome success, there was no turning back. This was pie in the sky, right there on the table. This approach is effective because it is a true win-win scenario that connects employers and employees for mutual benefit. Here's an example of a job match that resulted from the work of the task force.
United Way partner LiveWorkPlay helps the community welcome people with intellectual disabilities to live, work, and play as valued citizens.
My name is Emily, and I'm a hard worker. LiveWorkPlay helped me find my job that's right for me.
People living with disabilities offer a large untapped talent pool, but they're often overlooked by employers.
LiveWorkPlay came in, we had a discussion, we talked about what our needs might be, what resources they could provide. They helped train Emily, they helped integrate her, they helped introduce her to the staff and made sure she felt comfortable while she was here. So for us, it was painless. It's a wonderful experience.
Having a job makes me feel proud.
So Emily's story reminds us it's not only about unemployment, it's about underemployment and then about career development. Before she got the job in this video, Emily's previous job in the service sector was not her first choice, but she worked hard, gained valuable experience, and received a stellar reference. When the Employment Task Force was made aware of Emily's desire to work in a professional office environment, connections in the world of accounting got her through the door at Welch LLP, and the rest is history.
We know it's impossible for most of you to read all the names of the more than 16 employers on the list. Actually, it's a huge screen, so you can. That was to be the point of the slide. There's just so many. And that we've had a journey from this common belief that employers would not hire people with intellectual disabilities. And now we're at this new reality where we believe every employer will one day benefit from the hiring of people with intellectual disabilities. Examples like Emily and Welch LLP got the entire ETF team thinking about how those with specific employment sector knowledge could work together to more effectively match employers and employees. And that's why we are going to grow the task force to a series of task forces that focus on specific employment sectors. Now, We have focused on a milestone of 100 jobs, but the lasting legacy is to eliminate the need for interventions like LiveWorkPlay or any other agency, because it becomes a part of the workplace culture. This is the ultimate pie in the sky, knock it out of the park, Chicago Cubs Game 7 home run ball. Permanent social change, and it's happening.
Hey, it's Jenna from Drum 1069, and we are at the Works Bar Haven.
We are here celebrating Disability Employment Awareness Month, and we're at the Works Bar Haven, one of the first businesses in Ottawa that partner with us to support inclusive employment.
Everyone that's been working with Dave and Grant has been in their positions for a very long time. They're reliable, they're dependable, they're motivated employees. This is an added bonus that we get to come out and celebrate for them tonight, but they don't do it because it's a nice thing to do. They do it because it makes good sense for them.
We feel honored, obviously, to be represented as one of the key employers and to spread the word amongst our community, especially our restaurant business. You know, it's great, and if we can create more opportunities for people, all the better for sure.
It's not just the joy of giving back and helping out, but really get an excellent employee on your team that takes pride. And the workforce is changing, and it's hard to get good people. So to have someone that's engaged and takes ownership of their role, I think it's win-win for everybody.
It's only community capacity through approaches like the Employment Task Force that can do the heavy lifting for broad-based, lasting social change. The model is entirely exportable to other agencies, cities, and labor market segments. This works for people with intellectual disabilities, but it could work for other youth populations. So 100 jobs, 100 youth with intellectual disabilities in 1 year. What will it take? Well, enthusiasm, determination, talent, partnerships, and yes, money. The total annual budget for this initiative is $330,000, of which the proposed $125,000 from the New Leaf Community Challenge supports 4 interrelated activities. Our biggest investment is $70,000 to recruit and orient 50 to 60 new volunteer employer champions, and for the development and support of 7 new task force groups. It is critical that these volunteers are properly supported, have the right skills and experience, and also continue to have access to a relationship manager. After a year, these task forces will be led by volunteers and operate with minimal staff support. To take the project from its pilot status to the next stage of growth and future sustainability, we need to equip our employment champions with targeted marketing materials designed for specific business audiences. This is all about changing hearts and minds, and that's a major marketing task for which we've allocated $30,000. $12,000 is targeted to business networking, which enables the engagement with professional business networks where ETF members and their manager of employment partnerships immerse themselves in the world of employers. And this is also where we account for our bi-monthly task force meetings. $13,000 in employer and volunteer recognition, which sends a powerful message to other employers and the community, which helps grow successful outcomes of increased employment as well as changed attitudes. The remaining projected expenses of $205,000 are covered by confirmed funding sources, including the Ministry of Community and Social Services and United Way Ottawa. This is primarily for the employment supports network professionals who do workplace assessments, task analysis, job coaching, workplace accommodation, design, and more. They are great at what they do. They eat, sleep, and dream about youth with intellectual disabilities keeping and getting their jobs.
Let me wrap up by talking about what the Task Force initiative has meant to date with respect to changing lives in our community. When I park the car for a Red Blacks game, Sammy makes sure I get my receipt, Amber and Debbie help out and get services. Last month I'm watching on TV, and there's Fred, scanning tickets from hundreds of fans in front of the camera on TSN. In your own daily lives, maybe you get your hot beverages from Matt at Imperial Coffee, or Melanie at Quickie Convenience Stores. Maybe you shop with Janet at Bushtaka and Royce at Dalhon a little too much, so you go to visit Ashley at Invest Ottawa or Brody at Money Coaches Canada. Maybe you're having a file tracked down by Graham or Heather in a government department. Maybe a delivery by Mike at GDFL or Tim at Shopify. Or you're having a pita from Laura before you shop for a Halloween costume with Jaylen at Value Village. You guessed it, all businesses employ one or more young workers with intellectual disability through a connection made by the LiveWorkPlay Employment Task Force. Last slide. It might not have been obvious until just now, but it's no longer pie in the sky to see people with intellectual disabilities in the Ottawa workforce. But this is only the beginning. Loyal and enthusiastic workers are ready and just waiting for their employment match. Employers who don't even know it yet are going to better meet their human resources needs. So let's seize upon and build upon these exciting developments. 100 jobs for youth with intellectual disabilities in 1 year, delivered in partnership with business leaders who are volunteering their time and connections to make it happen. With the a driven and innovative social change organization that has a proven track record, an ambitious but realistic plan to make it happen for now and forever. If we get the help we're asking for today, you'll all have the distinct pleasure of knowing you are a part of one of the most exciting social transformations of our time. You'll see that change everywhere you go. You will have helped create the conditions where everyone can have a piece of the pie. Thank you.
Thank you very much. People live, work, play, and now we have our 15-minute Q&A.
Again, thank you very much for a very dynamic presentation.
So thanks for the great presentation. I appreciate your enthusiasm and everything you've shown us so far. So what does this $125,000 do for you that you couldn't do if you didn't have it?
Basically, it's vastly accelerating the pace of the change that we're able to help create. So we want to expand to 8 task forces. It took us 3 years to build the one that we have. So this is like this fuel injection. But it's also, the momentum is there to do this, but it is a lot of resources to do that all at once. So I think we're going to get it done in 1 year as opposed to a very more gradual, long-term process. So if that answers your question.
Hi, thanks a lot. That was an impressive presentation. I did want to ask about this. You said that you would be hiring up to 100 people. Is there the demand for that? Like, do you have people looking for work currently that you would be helping get in? Or how many are there?
Yeah, I mean, this past year, just to give you an idea, this past year we were successful in placing 70 youth with paid jobs, and we have a waiting list of 50 right now waiting, and we know that every year there's many students, 1 to 3% of the high school graduating population that are looking forward to life after high school, as well as other sort of more hidden populations of people with the transformation of disability services. A number of people, transitions are happening to help people get into the workforce. So there is no shortage of people looking for work. Youth in particular.
Yeah, and I would just add, the reason it's only waiting list of 50 is because we're careful to manage expectations. If we put out a call saying, you know, if you're a person with intellectual looking for a job, well, we get 1,000. It would be very easy.
Based on the experience so far, what would be the turnover rate in terms of the 100 people that you would place in the first year? How many would still be placed in those jobs 24 months, 36 months later?
The retention rate, our manager's back there, but it's close to 100%. And I would say, if not, it's because a very new thing for us. People that are employed are saying, I might like to look for a different job, like Emily's situation. And this was unheard of 10 years ago. If you were a person with a disability, you got the job, the extra you stay there for life. This is it, you got a job. And so it's part of the progress that people are now saying to us, yeah, it's been good here for 5 years, but what else do you have for me? And so that's also working out, because that same employer will go, yeah, that's been great. How about if we start with somebody new?
And I think the only exception to that would be when we're looking at summer employment for youth that are in high school, where they would work over the summer period and go back to school. We're finding over the last 2 years with that specific segment that many of those youth are actually keeping part-time work during the school year, so they're actually not leaving. Their hours might go down. So I would say when it's a summer employment opportunity, people are going back to school, so they might reduce their hours, or we will see them return to that employer for a new opportunity the following summer.
Hi, thanks for a great, very touching presentation. Just a question on, I can see in some of the videos that United Way was definitely partnering with you. So if your numbers increase, are there going to be added expectations of some of your partnering organizations to help you with this added number of recruitment opportunities that you have?
In terms of funding they would provide? No. So this model, it's with the benefit of a Newly Community Challenge, it's to pump up the volunteer contributions and to give them the capacity to lead the task forces going forward in the future. We use United Way funding traditionally. It's to fund the direct work of our employment support staff who do the job coaching and other tasks.
Hi, congratulations on a great presentation. I have a question about the ETFs, because I understand that a lot of these are volunteer roles for the 8 committees that would be meeting. So it's largely relying on volunteer success. So what is the minimum that you need in order to succeed with this 100 jobs that you're proposing over the next year?
So I guess if we maybe want to back up to the slide of how the ETF has grown over the 4 years.
Backing up is not working.
So it's okay. Again, last year, for example, we had an employment task force of about 20 core members, 20 to 25 depending, and that helped us leverage 70 jobs. So we see that 100 actually could be a conservative estimate going forward with new task force and 50 to 60 volunteer champions. So I think one of the strategies that we are hoping and going to invest a lot in is task forces that will be approaching employers that will hire more than one person at once. So larger employers, like the federal government is an example. We've placed 10 people in the last year in different departments, and there's a huge interest at different federal government departments where they want to hire 2, 3, 4 people at a time. And having an employment task force with specific expertise around how the federal government works and who are the key champions will put us over the top in terms of 100, but I'm confident that with 7 employment task forces that the 100 won't be a challenge. Does that answer your question?
My question is more related to the volunteers themselves. You need the volunteers in order to get the jobs and to make those connections within the community. So what do you need in order to engage those volunteers and then year after year to maintain that?
Correct. The answer is pretty much the same way that the Employment Task Force volunteers help us get jobs, they help us get volunteers. So they are actively recruiting peers of theirs, and what happens is we'll say, we need someone in accounting, we have nobody. And they're like, oh, I'm in banking, but I know this guy, and I will invite them. And that's pretty much how we build it mostly, as well as obviously employers that have hired. We would always approach them, no pressure, but we have this committee, and you've been a great employer, would you be interested in joining? So as we add volunteers, they or their staff often join.
Slide, Bashir?
Just going to build up on the numbers, job numbers that we were talking about. 100 is a nice round number, but is that a conservative number or based on the growth that you're seeing that this could really be 200 or 300? Are you playing safe here with the 100?
We like to keep our promises. What I would say, the 100 is a promise, and is it conservative? I am confident it'll be more than 100.
Back to Kathleen.
2 quick questions. So one, the 100 jobs, are they going to be new jobs or will some of them be maintained? And then secondly, I see in your budget you've got 3 job coaches. So is that to hire new job coaches to support new demand, or is that maintaining existing job coaches within the organization?
The first question is, will they be new jobs? Yes, absolutely new jobs. The maintenance and retention of the current jobs that we match to is done separately from this process. And in terms of the 3 job coaches would be focused on on introducing people to new job matches and new job placements.
Kathy, did you have a second question?
That was it, yeah.
That was it. Other members of the jury?
So 5 minutes.
I won't talk long. Just another question about the job coaches. So in essence, you're suggesting that there's a job coach for every 30 to 35 placements. Is that about what you've experienced so far?
Yeah, just to be clear, the job coach task, it's often heavily involved in about the first 2 weeks. And our model is very much built around the sustainability of the employer. And so it's finding who's going to be the key go-to people that this person will receive support from, like any other colleague in the future. So it's very intense for about 2 weeks. And then after that, it's more a process of checking in, which is often not done by the job coaches. It's a process of making sure that everything's continuing smoothly and maintaining the relationship.
So can you tell me how this could be a multiplier? Like, how could we take this model, apply it, if this investment's made in your organization, how do we take this model and multiply it many times over for other outcomes? Like, how transferable is it? How is it something that could in the future be more than what you're starting with?
Yeah, the good news is it's already happening to some extent. We're part of a provincial group called From Presence of Citizenship. It's a province-wide group that is assisting the Ministry of Community and Social Services with transition to more community-based and more inclusive supports and services. There are about 300 agencies across Ontario, and so we're probably, without too much controversy, on the leading edge of that. And so we've actually been asked to help other agencies develop strategies like this, and we've actually had some have also come in and said, can we please come and learn about this? So it's already happening. And it's part of our culture that we would export that and use partners, including provincial government, to help spread that word.
Time for a quick question? Clarification one.
Just the demographic or the age group of the people, typically we're talking about what age range?
So usually as young as 16, and for the purpose of today's presentation, up to age 30. The demographic, that is really the target that we have found that's really important is catching people before they leave high school or when they're transitioning from high school to the community. So anywhere from 16 to 30, but the median years are 18 to 25.
Just a quick question about your budget. The $135,000 from the ODSP service provider, will that allow you to sustain the program to some extent to 2018 and beyond? And does that mean to 2019? Is that kind of the timeline for?
Correct. So that's an annualized relationship. So we've been approved to become an employment service provider, and it's basically we would set targets, and that would provide funding to support the work of job coaches and some of the recurring expenses that we see in our budget.
Okay, so that's an ongoing.
Yes.
Okay.
Fellow jurors, any other questions? Okay, one quick one, Kathleen.
So I understand that the new Leaf Community Challenge funding would accelerate your process of increasing jobs. So do you know what the numbers would be if you were to not receive this? How many new jobs would be created for the 2016-2017 year?
Unknown, because random things can still happen. Like an employer comes forward and says, I want to hire a whole bunch of people, and we work with them to figure that out. But if we don't expand significantly, then we're probably looking at similar numbers to last year. So around, hopefully around the 70 range. But we do also have some fluidity with other funding issues. So, for example, the United Way, we have to apply again and things like that. So this is going to enable us to really commit to the process. I think that's always one of the bigger challenges, is can we commit and invite people in and not be in a position where we have to say, actually, let's scale this back. So we really want to go forward in a big way.
Okay, thank you very much for answering our questions.
So that was LiveWorkPlay, the third and final group to present. We had CompuCore mentoring before and Social Planning Council. All the talk, pie, cake, 15-foot tall cakes, leads us to another pause, more food. As we're going to take, now we've allocated 30 minutes for the jury to deliberate. If you reach a decision sooner, then we'll let you know, little chime, we'll invite you back in, but 30 minutes is the maximum. Okay, there's no like hotel for you tonight, and ordering pizza. All right, so we saw a bit of white smoke. Am I allowed to say that at St. Paul? So sorry. Okay. I'm going to, in a moment, invite the foreman of the jury to the board with an envelope in hand, but first, a big thank you to our members of the jury. I'll read out their names again for everyone. We have Saad Bashir, Tim Broadhead, Lori Cabral, Cheryl Jensen, Kathleen Kemp, Paul Steves, Stephen Willis, and the foreman, Jack McCarthy. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll invite Jack up, and he's got an envelope.
Yes, thank you. Marco's got the envelope. I just want to say it was, I've never had the opportunity to be a dragon before. But I want to again thank my fellow jurors. We had a really good discussion, and I want to say the presentations were excellent from the three finalists. And I just want to say, as jurors, we really, read them closely, and we really debated them back and forth. And I think we had a really good discussion. But my comments are just very brief. I want to thank the staff at the CFO for kind of assisting us. And certainly Giacomo for kind of... It's a real pleasure for me, and I think I speak for our jurors, to be able to kind of hear such great community proposals to assist in the whole area of youth employment, which is such an important and fundamental issue to this community. So it's a real honor to be a part of that process. So over to Marco. Thank you.
One of the things that we hope this event yields is capacity building in the sector around a number of things that we may not necessarily always think about. And that includes marketing and branding yourselves, articulating value propositions in really clear, concise, succinct ways. New Leaf Community Challenge, so this is our third year, we look for three specific things. Out-of-the-box innovative ideas, needle movement on a particular issue area, and ultimately partnerships with unusual suspects is the way we say it. So bringing people that don't typically play in the space that you're playing in, those are the three major criteria. We had 11 expressions of interest this year for this particular topic around youth unemployment. We had a group of subject matter experts that actually reviewed those 11 expressions of interest and concluded with the top three that we saw today. Regardless of what it says in the envelope, everybody's a winner, and I want to say thank you for that. So now, drum roll please.
Well, he said drum roll.
So, the winner of this year's New Leaf Community Challenge, and I'm going to ask the presenters to come up, and then my team's going to give me a check, is LiveWork. Present a check to these wonderful people, and again, congratulations to all the finalists for $125,000.
Everybody for LiveWorkPlay! I'll go up to Elaine after. Come on. Thanks so much. Thank you very much. Thank you.